All right, I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Um, I want to show you guys how to use databases, how to find them, how to determine which database to use, depending on the academic field you're doing your work in, and then how to get the most out of databases. These skills can also transfer to just generally using search algorithms. So that's nice. So let's get to it. So your tuition, let me share my screen. Your tuition, part of something that you pay for is access to the library and all the library's resources. One of those resources, a large portion of those resources are databases. Databases are the bread and butter of academic activity. We go to the databases to inform ourselves before research. We go to the databases to look for sources for our research, and then we publish our work on databases. So before, during, and after, we are living alongside databases. Um, the way you access them. Up here, so we're on the A-State homepage, astate.edu. Up here at the top, library, click that. Well, this will bring us to the library web page, and we have our one search here. So if you know exactly what you're looking for, let's say that you were doing work on Google Scholar, and or even better, we've talked a lot about Wikipedia. Let's say that you go to Wikipedia, you find a reference on at the bottom of Wiki you really want to use, you can, but it's paywalled, right? You click on it in the reference page, it's paywalled. You can copy paste that article title, book title, DOI number, whatever, into this one search. And what this one search will do, it will search all databases. That's the only time we want to use the one search is if we know exactly what we're looking for, because there's a chance that our regular database that we use, in the same way that we regularly use Google over Yahoo or Bing or whatever, you have kind of the main search, algorithm that you use in your everyday life. The same way with databases. We all have the usual database that we use, uh, but sometimes those databases won't have what we need in another database will. So we can use stuff like this to check all databases for something very specific. Unless it is in that edge case, we want to only do our searches within a specific database. The way that we access that is we go here to databases, which brings us to the A to Z database. So we have 342 databases. You only need one, maybe two if you have a very dynamic topic that's interdisciplinary. It's, art and business, and there's not really a database that has sources for both of those. So you need two different databases to search for those types of sources. But generally, all of your topics will fit neatly into one field. So the 342, there's really only three that you folks will need. A lot of these are going to be iterations of the same. For instance, ESBCO or EBSCO host here is a main hub, and it contains many other databases like EBSCO, Open Dissertation, eBooks. There used to be a lot more. We don't have as many databases as we used to have. So what you need to do is figure out what is your database. The main ones, if you are in the humanities like myself, it's JSTOR. So JSTOR is a really powerful database, has extremely well respected. Oh, they have this. This is nice. They used to not have this. These are all the main ones. So JSTOR. Uh, ProQuest is going to be a sort of general catch-all database in the soft sciences and the hard sciences to a degree. But especially if you're doing stuff with like psychology, sociology, history, anything like that, you want to do ProQuest. If you are in the hard sciences, physics, biochemistry, um, medicine, but like on the hard science side of medicine, not like researching nurses, nurse burnout or something, but you're searching like hard science, you know, biomedical technologies or something, then Web of Science is really, really great as well. And then in general, EBSCO is good. I don't, it's sort of, if you're not finding anything on the other ones, which you will, EBSCO is a major host, kind of like Google, in that like everything is in it. So EBSCO is one step down from the one search. It's going to be super broad. But this is nice that they have this now. These are going to be really, really excellent ones, specifically these three. So again, JSTOR, humanities, so English, philosophy, language, um, history to some degree, depends on kind of what specifically you're doing. Um, ProQuest is going to be more in the soft sciences. Basically anything that isn't hard science, so physics, chemistry, engineering, uh, and anything that isn't in the humanities, you will find in ProQuest. So you want to pick one of these three, depending on what your topic is. If you're not sure, you can always reach out to me and I can help you. If it's related to psychology or sociology, ProQuest. If it's related to like business, economics, ProQuest. Um, if it is, again, hard sciences, you're looking into chemistry or something like that, Web of Science, most of you should do ProQuest. I would say 9 out of 10 of you, ProQuest will have what you're looking for. Okay, moving on. So since most of you are going to be using ProQuest, we'll look at ProQuest. Um, oh, shoot. I'm off campus. So you won't have to go through this if you're on campus, if you're signed into the A-State internet. It will automatically recognize your device and you won't have to do all this. Goodness gracious. All this dadgum authentication. Secure. Okay, ProQuest. So this is what it's going to take you to. So now I'm going to teach you guys how to get the most out of databases. It's important to understand that and I think you, should be devoted to the philosophy of working smarter, not harder. It is, there's nothing wrong with cutting corners. There's nothing wrong in streamlining your process, right? But we want to cut the right corners, right? When we don't want to be lazy, right? Working smarter, not harder doesn't mean being lazy. It means being, thoughtful about our process and streamlining our efficiency. So, in the spirit of that, the last thing we want to do is put our terms into uh, this first search bar. This first search bar is much like that one search. It's going to just search absolutely everything. And it's going to make our job a lot more, not necessarily difficult, but it's going to take a lot more time. And I'll get into exactly what I mean by that in a moment. But we don't want to use this unless we, again, know exactly what we're looking for. If we know exactly what source, or maybe at the broadest, what author that we're looking for. But if we're typing in like a topic, even a subtopic, no matter how specific, we don't want to use this. There's a lot of things that we want the algorithm to consider before giving us results. We want the algorithm to do all of the work for us, and we want to focus on the interesting stuff. Right. So if you don't use this search bar, what the heck do you do? Advanced search is what we want to use. So what we have here is our advanced search, which is going to allow us to create more complex searches that are going to give us higher quality results. So rather than, let's say that my topic is artificial intelligence, actually, let's say that my topic is artificial intelligence and how it's integrated into social media. Instead of doing artificial intelligence, social media integration, um, Instagram, and censorship. Right. So let's say that that's what specifically what I'm wanting to look at. If I did this, the equivalent of typing this into the first search bar, let's see what I get. This is a super specific, so I get 5 results. That's not bad. So if it is that super specific, it might be worthwhile. But even amongst those 5, there's no telling if this is giving me exactly what I want. So what I is and or not. And I can move, let's say, artificial intelligence and social media and Instagram. Now, what this will do is this will give me a much more fine-grained search. So it's going to look for things that have all of these at once. So it's still all 5. Okay, good. So that means that all 5 of these are going to contain things that I want. Okay, let's try one that's a little less specific. So if you have done a lot of preliminary research, you know exactly what you're searching for. That's really good. Um, but let's say, for the sake of an extreme example, why is it only giving me? I figured I would get a lot more than that. There we go. Okay. So that's why it's because very few are using the full artificial intelligence. They're all using AI. Okay, that makes sense. Um, so if you do just like a broad search, let's even do AI social. So let's say that I know that I'm wanting to look at the AI and social media. I'm getting 1 million results. It's way, way too many results because hit number 1 and hit number 1,004,628 are equally likely because they both have those tags. Not like Google, where after the first page, you get diminishing returns, less and less likely to be what you're looking for. Every single million plus of these hits has those exact tags that you're looking for. And they're just going to be in the order of which sources mention those terms the most. So just because it says AI and social media, you know, 500 more times than another source doesn't necessarily mean that it is a better source or it's closer to what you're looking for. So that's why we want to use the advanced search. So we're going to do AI and social media. So we did get 1 million. Let's see what happens when we do the Boolean. So we get the exact same. So it automatically uses the and. Now let's say that I want to do AI and social media, but I'm not interested in Instagram. And I know that when I search about social media, Instagram is going to be a major topic. It's going to be discussed a lot. But say I know for sure I'm not interested in Instagram. I'm really wanting to focus on X or whatever, Twitter, whatever. So I could do not Instagram. So that got rid of about 100,000 results. So it skims down. So I can start on the front end telling it what I don't want, what I do want, and how I want those terms interacting, but also what I don't want. I can also do or. So I can do AI or social media. So it's going to broaden those parameters. So it doesn't have to mention AI and social media together, but it can mention AI, not Instagram, or social media, not Instagram. Um, that gives me 30 million results, right? So this is where if I need to broaden things, I can do that. So this is called Boolean phrasing, Boolean, Boolean phrasing. You can technically do this. Let's go back in a Google search bar. It looks like. So this is how it codes into the actual search bar. So if you there's no difference between typing this with AI capital or social media in parentheses, not Instagram. That's how it. So you could do this on like Google. Google recognizes this Boolean phrasing, right? So this is how we can use this to get broader or more specific results. It's extremely useful. When we did the activities of developing subtopics, this is what you're going to use them for. You're going to cluster those subtopics into these advanced search Boolean phrases, and that will help you get sources that are tailored to your specific interest, to what you specifically want out of the database. Now, um, let's go with this since it gives us 30 million hits. Now, what I want to show you is let's say that just the search that you have, um, no matter how specific you make it, you're not able to get it down to five like we were earlier. Let's say that you're not able to get it down to a readable number, and the goal is taking forever. Um, the goal is you want to create a search in which the results you can read every single title. So you want to get it down to less than 250, right? If it's over 250, it's going to be very difficult to meaningfully read every single one of those hits, right? Because you want to just mine through it and find that diamond in the rough. Um, there we go. So it's 30 million hits. What do you do with that? You can't read 30 million entries. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take a look at what tools are available to us, which are going to be here on the left. It's going to be these filters. So we can sort in different ways. Recency is something we want. Relevance is generally going to be the best. But here we hit gold. Full text and peer review. We want these things. Full text, some of the things that you look at that you will be given will be just an abstract or just a summary or a book review, right? You're interested in a book, and you're like, oh, this looks awesome. This book is perfect. And then you open it and it's just a snippet of a book review. Useless. So instead of having to go through all that heartbreak of opening sources and not getting full texts, we can click full text. So we go from 30 million to 29 million. So we got rid of 100, or we got rid of a million fragments, and then peer review. This should take a lot out of them. We generally want peer review. Yeah, so they got rid of 36 plus million. Right. And so still not manageable, but 2 million, 30 million are very different. So then we have this report of the various source types: scholarly journals, conference papers, magazines, trade journals, everything from trade journal up. These are all going to be solid. Sources pulled from any of these are good. Working papers, really don't want those. That means incomplete papers, papers that are kind of being published. They're kind of like getting a video game in early access, right? They're subject to change. You don't really want to be citing working papers. Newspapers depends on your source or your topic, what exactly you're wanting to do. It might make sense to bring some newspapers in. But these two are really great. Scholarly journals are going to be the best. We really want scholarly journals. So let's say that we want to include um, flops. So I'll get rid of some. Now, let's say because we're looking at AI, we are really only interested in stuff from the last year. So we're not interested in stuff from 1853 for sure. And there's stuff going on in 2010 to 2019, but it would have been mostly speculative, right? And we know that there's a window of discourse where what's being said about this topic really didn't become relevant and insightful until very recently. So it'd be like, would you be citing, uh, you know, tech journals about quantum computing from 1980? Well, no, because it was just a dream back then, versus now it's actually real. We have the technology. We are aware of the ethical conundrums in ways we couldn't have been before. So we can put it to where we only want things from 2020 forward, so we can update. That's going to take out about half of them. Yep. And then we can get even more fine grained. So let's say we really only want stuff from the last year. So now we're down to 188,000. So I've only used really two of these tools so far, and we've gone from 30 million to 188,000. So what we then want to look at is my favorite one, which is subject. So we go to subject, we open this. These are going to be essentially every tag on these sources. So in the same way, if you go on Instagram or whatever, those posts are going to have tags on them. So that when people search up things, that search will scan all posts for what they're tagged with, what types of content they are. Same thing works in databases. So this is really, really great if you're still sort of figuring out your angle, anywhere from having a little bit of an idea to an angle to none at all. These subjects can help you find interesting ways that your topic is being discussed. So we're doing AI, social media. So the most discussed thing is algorithms. Like, okay, that makes sense. That's going to be the primary way that AI is being integrated into social media. So let's say I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do the obvious thing. Let's say I want to look for weird stuff. I want to look for interesting, odd ways that this topic is being discussed. So I might go down closer to the bottom. Ooh, ethics. That's very interesting. Genomes? What in the world could AI and genomes have to do with one another? That's really cool. Um, and let's say simulation sounds cool. So I'm gonna apply those. So now I'm down to 9,000. So going from 30 million to 9,000 in a few clicks. And I know now that all of these are going to contain very interesting things. I've tailored all of this so that I know there's a high likelihood that every single source that I look at is going to reflect my interest and the angle that I'm bringing to my research and will therefore be much higher quality, uh, likely to be much higher quality. You still get some duds, you still get some odd things and stuff. It comes with the algorithms. Um, you can then go by different languages, uh, different sub databases. Um, yeah, we can look at different document types. So these are all good, but the major ones are you want full text and you want peer review. You want to narrow the window of recency or narrow the window of relevancy, I should say. Some of you may want sources from the 2000s or earlier, right? Where you're really interested in what was going on, what was the discourse going on in this specific window. But if you're in the sciences, you're generally going to want more recent stuff. Um, Part of the genre of a literature review is recency. We want to review the literature and talk about what's going on in the last year, 2 years, maybe 3 years maximum. Um, right. And so let's say that I really only want to say this genome thing is just blowing my mind what relevance it could possibly be had. Um, Fascinating. And then we can see here, this is going to highlight a couple instances where your search terms are showing up in the text. So this is a way to quickly see. So we can look at here, brought news outlets and the stories online coming up blogs and social. So this is going to talk about the intersection of social media with another thing. So let's say it's not really about social media, it's about something else. And it just so happened that social media is brought up as relevant. It's part of the chain of causation with everything being studied, but it's not about social media. It looks like a lot of these are that way. And so that's why even though genomes looks really cool, it just so happens that social media is getting discussed a whole lot. And so that ends up being a dead end. But it could have taken us somewhere interesting. And that's what's cool about these tags. You can find really fascinating ways, very cutting edge ways that things are being discussed that there's really no way to know. You can't just go on Wikipedia and say like, what's the most fascinating way that people are talking about this topic. But this all of these give you a pretty interesting glimpse into um, what all is going on as far as what types of sources are being published that are tagged with the stuff you're wanting to talk about. Right. So when it comes time for you to do your research, what I expect is to develop some fluency with using these search features, that you know how to use the advanced search, that you can do fine-grained searches using the Boolean phrasing, using at least two, if not three. Um, Mostly it's just going to be ands, social media and artificial intelligence and censorship or something like that. But being able to use the or the not is useful as well. But then what's really important are these filters over here. Being able to tell it that you want full text, you want peer review, you want a specific, publication date range, that you know how to look through those different subjects for inspiration, or to get even more fine grained on the back end of your search. And then that you can go through, read through all of these and identify the most interesting potential sources, which you will then ultimately gather and use in your research. That's about it. Trying to think if there's anything else in particular. I think that's about it. Um, so hopefully you found this useful. We'll be applying this rather quickly as soon as we get back. So thank you for your time.